What's your name? And where's your hometown?
My name is KerryFur. I'm from Hot Springs.
What is your major? And what are you planning to do when you receive your degree?
I'm a public relations major. Since leaving the Marine Corps, I miss it. So in that vein, I'm going to commission as an officer in one of the branches after I graduate. I'll most likely go into military intelligence or maybe public affairs first, but I hope to join civil affairs once I earn the rank of captain or lieutenant should I join the Navy.
What career goals have you set?
I've already had half a lifetime of experience, and more than most of those in my age group. Unfortunately, most of my experiences don't translate easily to civilian life. I would say that my career goal is to establish a career. In the Marines, I became a sort of utility person due to having been cross-trained in a diverse range of skills. That made my life unstable. I was constantly on the move. Since I began college, I've had to flow through several jobs, achieving much the same thing, especially when some of those jobs sent me all over the country. My personal end game, so to speak, would be to find a niche where I can thrive and provide for my future family, company, and community.
Who's your favorite musical artist or band? And why?
I'd have to say that'd be The Killers. I know the name sounds bad. Please don't ask me where they got it, but I'm not that great a fan. But their music suits me. It's both melancholy yet optimistic, and it reminds me that yes, life has its lows, but it also has highs. It has its high points. Their music gives a sense of somewhat hopeful realism.
What's your favorite television show? Why do you like it?
That would have to be the classic TV show MASH. I pick it for several reasons. First, it takes me back to when I was a kid, and my parents would let me stay up late to watch it every time it came on. Second, it was genuinely funny. We cracked up watching that together. It was really good bonding with my family. I think shows like that we got to take part in together brought us closer. The combination of wit and satire in light of the horror of the Korean War was unquestionably astute and haunting. I didn't realize that then, but in hindsight, I can see why that was such a big thing. Lastly, it was acted very well by most of the cast, save a few exceptions.
What's your favorite movie? Why?
Now that's a little more difficult to pin down. I like so many, and all very nearly equally. I guess I'm going to fly my nerd flag here. I'd have to say that the entire series of Star Wars movies would be my favorite. I know it's cheating, I'm actually picking 6 movies, but there are just too many layers to describe why I like it. Most of the acting was very well done, again, save a few exceptions. The story was rich, deep, and full of subtle nuance as well as overt drama. The characters are well developed, well written, very realistic in their behavior, negating the science fantasy of the films. Finally, I would have to add a very recent realization. That is, the central story very closely resembles certain historical and recent events in the evolution of social political orders.
What's your favorite book? Explain.
It's not exactly a book, it's a play, but that's how I first read it. It's the Shakespeare play Othello. Not his most famous work, but intriguing. It deals with issues of elitism, racism, political power-seeking and backbiting, and the depths of human emotions from love to hate.
If you could go anywhere, what would be your ultimate vacation destination? And why would you want to visit there?
I'd unequivocally have to say Ireland. I would want to take a month-long vacation in Ireland. I've always wanted to start with a few days in Dublin, enjoying the trek, to use the Gaelic term for fun, of the area taverns, restaurants, museums, and getting to see the quaint architectural wonders, some of the small little churches and everything. Then I'd divide my time traveling the country on foot, bicycle, and automobile to visit some of the traditional tourist traps, such as the Blarney Stone and some of the more famous castles. Also, an absolute must. I have to see within my lifetime, I must see County Kerry and County Cork, where much of my family ancestry comes from. I think that I would really enjoy the slower pace of the Emerald Isle, as well as its striking beauty and being able to experience in part the world many of my forebears came from.
If you could invite 4 famous persons, living or dead, to a dinner, who would you invite? Why would you invite them? And what would be the main topic of discussion?
I have to say Nelson Mandela for his insights into facing an oppressive political structure and his experiences in reconciling and building equality in South Africa. Say Abraham Lincoln for his experience in raising himself up by his bootstraps from his poor background, numerous political and professional failures that he had and kept going, and his eventual election and operation as President of the United States. I'd also find it interesting to hear his take on his own violation of constitutionally given rights to fair trial and prevention of holding people indefinitely without trial, given the fact that that was a very similar thing was just passed right at the beginning of or at the very end of the year, the beginning of the year. Third, I'd have to say Jon Stewart. I'd invite him. First off, he's intelligent and genuinely funny. I believe that his astute observations and direct focus and understanding of issues would provide some interesting layers to a dinner conversation. I'd like to see where he would go in a conversation, especially with these other persons. Lastly, I'd have to say Joan of Arc. Again, I'm going to choose someone who's come from humble beginnings, but she overcame daunting odds. Also, I'd like the retrospective she could provide about her experiences of being unfairly tried, convicted, and executed, even though she was later beatified. That in of itself would be interesting to find out. She's a saint. How is it being a saint? How's heaven? But anyway, that way I'd have 2 presidents, a comedian / pseudo-journalist, and a saint over for dinner. Good times to be had by all. I'd like to direct our conversations in a dinner toward bridging their experiences and insights with more contemporary issues, such as our increasing loss of freedoms in America, poverty and unemployment, corporate bailouts, and political and religious conflicts that are beginning to build.